Welcome back to The Banker, the show where I equip you with all the data and knowledge you really need to enjoy the weekend's action. Coming up, which Manchester United defender could be the surprise star of the show against Liverpool? Who are the new signings lighting up the Premier League? And which player could be the key to saving Ange Postecoglou at Forest? Let's get it. First up, it's goals and assists. And for this, we're heading to Bournemouth. And while I reckon Antoine Semenyo will keep up his hot streak, I'm actually more interested in someone he'll face on Saturday, Crystal Palace's Yeremy Pino. Now, he is someone I think absolutely everybody should be paying attention to. Drafted in as Abere Eze's replacement for a bargain €30 million, the former Villarreal man has shown tons of potential as an Eagle. Okay, no goal involvement so far, but in just 300 minutes, he's produced 10 passes that have led to a shot, managed the fourth most through balls in the league, and taken 8 shots of his own. His expected goals and assists are actually at 2.1, showing that Pino is doing everything right. And I reckon this weekend it all changes. The 22-year-old had a brilliant international break, scoring for Spain against Georgia before looking pretty impressive against Bulgaria, so this could be his moment to explode at Palace. Bournemouth, watch out. Another forward who's found his feet in the Premier League is Brentford's Igor Thiago. You have to feel sorry for the guy. He was signed from Club Brugge only to basically miss the entirety of last season with injury. But this term, the Brazilian has been making up for lost time with 4 goals already, and his first against United was pretty special. According to XG, he's overperforming at the moment, so clearly Thiago is riding a wave well worth banking on. It helps that 45% of his 11 shots this season have tested the keeper, showing his rangefinder is working, and he'll have his sights firmly set on the West Ham goal on Monday night. It's a massive gain for both teams at the London Stadium, a fact that will not be lost on Jared Bowen either. He's on 3 goals this term and is doing everything he can to keep a flagging Hammers side afloat. So it's a case of Thiago versus Bowen, but don't bet against them both making an impact in this game. And finally, I'm backing Mohamed Kudus to tear into Aston Villa. One of the signings of the summer, Kudus is in electric form with 1 goal and 4 assists for Spurs. His 30 successful take-ons is more than any player in Europe. His 48 crosses is the most in the Premier League, while he's even creeping towards 2 shots per 90. Kudus looks like the complete package. He even got a goal for Ghana in the international break, so I fully expect him to carry that form back to North London on Sunday. And while we're at it, don't bet against Xavi Simons playing his part in this game too. He got a much-needed assist for the Netherlands against Finland, so hopefully that's the spark he desperately needs to get his creative juices flowing at Spurs. Either way, Villa will have their hands full. Next, on to our defensive runners and riders for the weekend. And first, we turn to Anfield for the massive Sunday game between Liverpool and United. Now, here I think you should consider backing Patrick Dorgu to make an impact. Probably not the player you're expecting to hear, yet the Dane has really grown its stature on Old Trafford amidst the Amorim rollercoaster. United's left wing-back is one of their most used players and has produced some really impressive defensive numbers, successfully completing a team-high 12 tackles alongside Matthias de Ligt. But crucially for you, he's brilliant at drawing fouls. Dorgu has been chopped down 18 times this term, behind only Bruno Guimaraes and the permanently studded Jack Grealish, showing what a tricky customer he's become. Going forward, he isn't bad either. Dorgu got an assist in their big win against Chelsea and recently got his 2nd international goal of the season against Belarus. Not bad at all from the 20-year-old who will quietly relish facing an out-of-sorts Mo Salah or even exploiting the space in behind the Egyptian. Whoever starts out right back for the Reds should be more concerned with Dorgu than planned. Another scenario in this game you can expect to see is Casemiro receiving a telling off from the ref. The 33-year-old hasn't got the legs of his Real Madrid heyday anymore, and that has translated into some rash decisions in recent weeks. From just 5 fouls, he's picked up 4 yellows and a red, which is pretty impressive. What's interesting though is that for all his minutes, he ranks pretty low in the United squad for touches or passes, which goes to show that when he's forced into action, Casemiro is susceptible to making a mistake. And against Liverpool, who will be desperate to recover from their recent blip, it could be tough going for Casemiro. Someone having a bit more luck in the tackle is Leeds United's Sean Longstaff. In what will be a crucial trip to Burnley, Longstaff has emerged as a real presence in the Whites midfield since joining from Newcastle. 23 tackles this term is some of the most in Europe. 15 of these have been successful, better by just Tyrick Mitchell in the league, while Longstaff has proved particularly effective against opposition dribblers. In fact, he's proving to be a genuine all-rounder for Daniel Farke. Longstaff has 1 goal and 1 assist, and produced a seriously impressive 13 key passes. This is even more quality when you consider he hasn't started every game and came off an underwhelming final campaign at Newcastle. No team spends more time in their final third or takes fewer shots than Burnley, but Scott Parker will know this is a must-win game too, so should set up his side to be more assertive against Leeds. Yet this should play comfortably into Longstaff's hands, who'll be relishing the competition in midfield. And one of his big challenges could be stopping Lyle Foster, who's 6 for 6 for successful take-ons this season. The South African loves a dribble, but also a dodgy challenge, as Foster is one of the division's worst offenders for fouls this season on 13. That said, he'll be riding high after helping Bafana qualify for their first World Cup since 2010, so keep an eye on him. But my real money is on Longstaff dominating not just Foster, but the game in general. Finally, here are some other trends from the Premier League that could really help your weekend. We'll start at Brighton, who have shown a real knack for winning from losing situations. 5 times they've gone behind, twice they've won, and once they've drawn, a total of 7 points. This is 2 more than the next best Fulham and 3 more than Arsenal. 2 teams that will be meeting at Craven Cottage on Saturday. It's quite possible that whoever goes behind first in this game will emerge victorious, though as a Fulham fan, I'm not holding out much hope. Anyway, back to Brighton, whose resurrection abilities I've chosen to highlight because they're hosting Newcastle on Saturday at the Amex. Now, I said in the last episode it was just a matter of time before results started turning in the Magpies' favour. And sure enough, they thumped Nottingham Forest 2-0. Voltemada scored in that game, as I predicted, and did so again against Northern Ireland. Anthony Gordon is also in fine form, making this a fascinating matchup. Brighton have lost just twice this season, but their only clean sheets have come against lowly opposition in the League Cup. So if you're feeling adventurous, you could bank on Brighton conceding against Newcastle, but still pulling off a miraculous escape and walking away with some kind of result. Now to goalies, and it's all eyes on Nottingham Forest's Matt Sells. The Belgian did his bit to keep the score down against Newcastle in their last match with 7 saves, and that brilliant, albeit fruitless display puts him just behind Burnley's Martin Dubravka for overall saves on 25. A save percentage of 76% is equally impressive by Sells, proving that Forest would be much worse off if it wasn't for their man in the sticks. And they'll need him in top form this weekend as it's Chelsea coming to town. Riding high from their win over Liverpool, the Blues will smell blood at Forest. Chelsea managed 6 shots on targets against Liverpool, and that number could be much higher against Ange Postecoglou's side. So you can bank on Sales being very busy in this game. And that leads to my very final point. Could this be Big Ange's final roll of the dice at the City Ground? Hugely damaging defeats to Sunderland, Swansea and FC Midtjylland have left the Austrian hanging by a thread in Nottingham. Rumours are swirling that Sean Dyche of all people is waiting in the wings. So if Forest can't get a result against Chelsea, and I'd honestly be surprised if they did, then it might be an early goodbye to Ange. To be clear, I hate suggesting that anyone will lose their job, but Evangelos Marinakis is a man hell-bent on success. So let's see if Ange can live to fight on another day. That was The Banker. What do you make of my tips in this week's episode? Let me know in the comments. What do you want to see from this show? I want to hear that too. Have a great weekend, do well, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.